So, do you have a telescope or a pair of binoculars that you're looking over the Pacific Ocean? You're like, where's this Artemis at?
You know,
I think it's further south. It's landing right by San Diego, I think it is, or something.
yeah, it might be a
Uh,
little bit far for us to see, but we can see depending on where it comes in the entry. That's a good point. I have these binoculars that are like this, about that size. I got them. I forget. It was a family member that some time ago passed away, but they were a bird watcher, so they had all these like different types of binoculars, and I ended up with these huge ones. And it's funny every time I pull them out because like they're literally like this huge, and it's kind
no,
of funny. So
you get like a miniature workout, by holding them and stuff.
I think it actually has a the tripod screw mount that you can put them on a tripod.
Nice.
Yeah.
I,
So
I
maybe
love.
I'll break those out tonight. Or what time is it supposed to enter?
Sorry, I'm laughing at the thumbnail for our LinkedIn live feed because it got the part where it's
Oh no no.
um I thought it was like 8:53 Eastern, something like this. So it'd be like 5:50 something your time around
Okay.
there. I've got to check again on there, but yeah. So you've got some time. In fact, I'm looking at their little live feed. I can still see kind of the moon behind them um, on there. So, but once they start coming in hot, and they're coming in hot, you know, I thought it was like 30 or 27,000 miles an hour. Right now, they're like at 5,000 miles an hour.
Wow.
Um, I think it's only 6 minutes, or no, 13 total. 6 minutes that they won't be able to communicate with it because plasma builds up around it, and they'll lose communication. So there's like a little bit of time where everyone's holding their breath. They're like, wonder how things are doing in there. Um,
Yep.
interestingly, some of their questions the other day, from the different organizations were like, oh, when you're entering, what's the temperature going to be inside the cockpit? And they didn't answer. What they said was, well, they're going to be wearing their suits, so within their suits, they're going to be fine.
Okay.
But then the real question was, well, how hot is it inside the actual capsule? I bet you it's probably going to warm up pretty good in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd
So,
imagine.
all right. Well, I've got a few news items I can go over, and then I think we talked about some training stuff too, because I think we had a webinar the other day, and one of the folks on there was later pinged me about training items, so we can go over that kind of stuff. So let me zoom in here, and then I'm gonna just zoom in just a little bit on here. So this Friday, the 10th, based off what was coming out this week, um, it's it seems like it's like a redundant kind of statement that it's like the explosive period of AI with new things coming out all the time, but it does seem like it. So it seems like Meta has entered the super intelligence race, and it seems like, well, what race haven't they tried to get into? Especially after they renamed themselves Meta.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so anyway, they're doing a massive investment in super intelligence labs, led by, I guess, a gentleman by the name of Alexander Wang, and
Yeah.
he's produced. His team has produced the first major release, which is called Muse Spark, I think it is, and then
Interesting.
it's apparently a proprietary multimodal reasoning model. So voice, text, images, all can do all that kind of stuff simultaneously. And the contemplating mode is it features a unique architecture where multiple internal agents, and this is basically what everything's kind of gravitating towards our agents, they essentially debate with each other to solve complex problems. So you're essentially now almost the same thing as processors did in the beginning. The Pentium 4 got as fast as it could before it started melting down, and then AMD came in and
Yep.
was like, no, we have dual cores over here. It sounds like that's what everybody's doing with AI with the agents is they have all these working together. And it's still trailing OpenAI and Google in pure coding tasks, but it's currently topping the charts in health and medical reasoning benchmarks. So
Wow.
that's a little bit of news as this the environment changes with that. And then speaking of OpenAI, we always hear about these companies. Oh, this company got a venture, seed and funding. Well, they got $5 million to develop blah blah blah. Well, OpenAI just raked in another $122 billion in additional valuation round of funding.
Wow.
So basically, if you combine that with all their previous funding,
It's crazy.
they have a total of $852 billion of funding that they've received so far.
Wow.
So that's basically almost $1 trillion of funding, and they haven't even IPO'd yet. It's like, the big question on there is, okay, where's all the money going? The capital is directly fueling essentially the massive compute costs for the Chat GPT 5.4 models and ongoing development of further architectures. It essentially comes shortly after discontinuation of their Sora video generation app. So that one was going off. It was very interesting. Then they cut that. And then that was burning $15 million a day in compute costs for for Sora.
Wow.
Interestingly, I also saw another.
Yeah, they cut Sora. Then that was a big video one that a lot of people were using and excited about. Interesting.
Yeah, but there's there's just like a plethora of models out there, and I guess they have to do an analysis of a reward for that. They cut it off, and I thought Disney, had signed a deal with them. So I think Disney sounds like they got cut off at the knees for that. And interestingly, I saw another article that OpenAI says, well, it'll be another year before our AI can actually do a timer on there. So as many advances as they've been doing, they can't do a simple timer yet without the AI screwing it up. But we just gotta, keep in mind, there's different AIs models, there's different layers of AI, and they're really focused on the generative portion, which in a lot of cases, like precision timing is not going to be its forte.
Yep.
Anyway, some more news. Google's Turbo Quant, QUANT, I think it's spelled, is a efficiency breakthrough. And actually, this is good news, especially on our previous discussions right here with all of our little memory stuff that I've been having heartburn over with memory modules. So everybody's scaling up, but Google DeepMind just announced the breakthrough is essentially enabling them to scale down. So at one of these conferences, they unveiled this new method where it's like a memory compression algorithm.
Okay.
So then if you can think about that, AI running massive models essentially requires enormous amounts of memory. And just to track the context of this, this Turbo Quant compresses this memory requirement by 6 times.
Wow.
So they could radically reduce the cost of running AI in data centers and accelerate, essentially more powerful models, etc. I hope it brings the prices down of memory.
Yeah.
My son still has a Windows 10 computer that I forgot to upgrade to 11, and I feel like I want to leapfrog it to a new computer later, and I can't do that because it's just too expensive.
You don't want to spend $10,000 on RAM for 64 gigs.
Right. That way, in 2 years, when the prices come down, I'm like, I'm killing. I'm like thinking about that all day. And then the other thing, they've got the 10 trillion parameter rumor mill that Anthropic is making waves with reports surrounding their upcoming Claude Mythos 5 system. Have you heard about this one, Brennan?
I have not No, wow.
No? Okay. So this one is hot because industry insiders essentially say that the system is built on that mind-boggling 10 trillion parameters,
Yeah.
dwarfing other ones. And some of the leaks are speculating and talking about that it's explicitly tuned for advanced cybersecurity, autonomous coding, and complex system reasoning.
Interesting.
So the other thing I heard is they're not releasing it. They said this is it's too advanced to release, and it actually would pose a danger by releasing it. And so what they're doing is they've only released it to Google, and I forgot, I think it might be Apple, for them to test on their own operating systems before they release it, because it could be weaponized and essentially produce 0-day breaches like hotcakes. So they
Wow.
want to give it to these big software providers first, so they can use it on themselves to find out where their issues are, or security. I forgot the term for that. Security flaws are, so that they can patch them immediately before this actually gets out into the public domain.
Wow.
And it's crazy. And I think we speculated before that a lot of these companies will always have a model on their back end that they're not going to either release, or it's going to be cost prohibitive for a lot of the other commercial companies to even use. Like, think about paying $20 million a month for a super advanced model.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then last thing that isn't as commercial but fun is HeyGen. Apparently, they have a 15-second digital twin. So basically, um, it's a barrier between synthetic video. So it's called Avatar 5, which allows anyone to create a perfect digital twin from just 15 seconds of video clip.
Yeah.
I know we have a service. It'd be interesting to test this one to see how good this is.
It,
Um,
it,
Essentially, the system generates studio quality lip synced video in 175 languages. Could
wow.
you imagine running that through this live stream, and then being able to just do all the languages on
Yeah.
that?
That would be amazing.
Then it's what they said, they've solved identity drift issues, which regulatory bodies in Washington heavily scrutinize synthetic media guidelines based off this, and they're worried about this, especially going into countries' elections and stuff. You essentially have people say anything
Yeah.
um, out
Yep.
there, so it's interesting. So anyway, those are my news clips.
Yeah. That HeyGen one. I've seen the new model in action, and there's I don't have the person's name. I'm sure you can just Google on YouTube just the HeyGen model and see some examples. But basically, her whole channel is her digital twin, and it's amazing. I mean, the just like the differences in the way that the heads move, the lip syncing. It's a lot more animated than even like the digital twin one that we use. Ours,
Right.
it's limited to, I would say, I think it's every 15 seconds it kind of starts to repeat the same mannerism, so it's not continuous. So you watch 30 seconds, you're like, oh yeah, that's a avatar, and the lip syncing isn't quite perfect, but yeah, the HeyGen one is absolutely amazing. Um, I've seen the clips of it, and she has like a video of her really talking and a video of the digital twin, and it's amazing. And then there's another site that uses, I don't know, I don't think they use HeyGen. They might in the back end, but they basically it's the next level of customer support. So right
Yeah.
now, the big thing is the chat agents and the various online ways. But now, the next iteration of that is basically cloning you. So somebody can go, hey, I want to talk to Robert, and they basically, you've loaded up with your knowledge, and now they can have a conversation with you, but it's not really you. And so that's also possible right now. And there's a few platform providers that can actually create those those digital avatars that speak, and they're basically integrated in with the chat technology.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
scary.
love it. You know, especially if you want to, I think it's very useful to kind of repeat messaging or compress down, this production time, to get out there. But it's also, like you said, completely scary that, if especially if you think about automation, you could have the like let's talk about Claude. Claude every week go out and get XYZ, create a script, pump that into HeyGen, HeyGen create the video, and then whatever other system publish this at 2 p.m. Every day, on tap like A, B, or C, and then yeah, you could basically have a continually running media machine. You
Yep.
know, I could get a mustache and an anchor jacket, anchor man, and then basically do newscasts all day.
Yep.
It's interesting.
On every topic, and every action item that's going on around the world. It's certainly possible, and there's a lot of those channels out there right now, and they're in every genre. I mean, there's I was telling you the other day about that one with the which I still think was one of the funniest ones I've seen, where it has various cars going 60 miles an hour over 100 yards of speed bumps, and what would happen.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, in that particular channel, they just pump out videos like 3 times a day. There's various viral trending videos, and there's probably somebody out there that built the system and then kind of gives it some ideas. But I don't even. I'm guessing that even the ideas are probably auto generated at this point. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. When we look at a lot of the content that's being generated right now. What I'm curious is how are these algorithms, if you're a social media company, you're Meta or X or any of these various social media platforms, your algorithms are built on kind of that user interaction and signals, and then you push those things to the front. I think that model is going to vastly change because of the way that AI content is being created and how fast it's being created.
Yeah.
And because if it doesn't, all that is going to happen is the people that are auto generating viral content with their growth engine, and the people that are producing viral content with their content engine, they're just going to be talking to each other, and it's just going to be 2 AI sides that rise all the way to the top, and everybody below that is actually doing real content is going to be kind of left behind. And I think I see that already.
Yeah, that's I think same thing I heard. They're basically going to be out competed, and then if you think about hyper personalization, where you can, once you do this, me as a content creator, I could probably have 10,000 different channels that are specific different little niches.
Yep.
Where I'm creating and distributing content, and then I, as a portfolio, own all these different content streams, and it's going to crank out faster than anybody else can do it manually.
Yep.
They're already complaining about that. Neil deGrasse was complaining about, not necessarily complaining, but like telling people to watch out, because the problem is sometimes they get like the science wrong, and to be watchful. Like, you can tell if somebody's pumping out 10 videos a day on different science articles, there's no way that they can do that without the AI.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating, because it's one of my issues with social media is the wrong type of behavior is rewarded, and once you kind of go over the threshold and you please the algorithm, then you get magnified. And the more that you do more of that, the quicker and larger you grow. So there's some great examples. Is you see these accounts that have whatever 900,000 followers, 70,000 followers, and a particular post that happens every single day. There's 3 posts a day, and they get 900 comments, and then their account is replying to every single one of those comments. Well,
Sure.
they're not. They can't. But the algorithm is just looking at that as, hey, yeah, this is what people want. Well, yes and no. It's picking up the wrong signals, and it's feeding content that is rewarding things that we don't really care about, but we comment because we're humans, So my advice, and kind of what I tell everybody is, the motivational, inspirational quotes, don't comment on them. We don't need it. Yes, I know it's like, oh, thank you, that made my day. That just means they're all going to pop up in our feeds every single day. The funny cat video, yes, it's funny. Don't comment on it. It's just, you're feeding the engine, and that's why even on like LinkedIn, all these ones, the motivational posts, the posts that you don't really care about, but they cause you to react.
Yeah.
But they bring no value. There's really no value, and it's getting worse. And unfortunately, it's getting worse on really bad content, because it could be bad, and it's just getting pushed for the forward just because people are commenting, this is really bad, and it's actually kind of a method. I don't know, like in my YouTube shorts, the shorts platform, it's just one of those platforms that it's just horrible. But the shorts one is just full of low effort, real fast, exaggerated stuff. Like it'll show, oh, the tidal wave takes out a boat, and I like to see big ocean waves and all that stuff. And then it's going there, and all of a sudden it's a wave and it swallows up the thing. There's people sitting having dinner, and they're all swallowed. Like, no, that's not real. And then I'll look at it, it's like 59,000 views. Like that video doesn't deserve 59,000 views.
Right.
So I don't know what we do about that, but on a more practical side, it's really impacting the job search. And for everybody out there, Oracle just, I'm sure everybody's seen, and you saw 30,000 jobs via email. And a lot of the people on there had worked for the company for 20 plus years. I mean, it was just really, really bad. They're no different than a lot of the companies out there that are just laying these mass layoffs. And partly, they say, oh, it's because we're retooling AI. But, when I did a deep analysis on the Oracle financials, and there was red flags, and basically there was a cash flow problem. At the end of the day, they needed to plug the hole, and the layoffs pretty much equaled the cash flow problem. I'll be posting all that information at some point when I finish it up and make sure, I agree with everything that's in there. But a lot of people are hitting the job market, and it's the same sort of thing that we're seeing in the social media market. It's the people that know how to break the rules at scale, because all these things are built on certain rules. So ATS systems, they're built on a certain set of rules. The job application sites, all these things are built on rules. So if you know how to break those rules by basically building systems that just auto apply, and they fine tune your resume to the exact thing, at the end of the day, you're an employer, you're getting 500 resumes that all sound exactly the same. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the employers. It doesn't help the job searchers. And I'm seeing this also pop up in the feed, that now more and more people are just posting. I see managers, directors, VPs say, hey, I have an opening. Contact me if you're interested. And partly because they're not getting results from the job searches because of this automation. But even that is breaking, because people are developing algorithms that look for that. And when they see that, it automatically spams those people. So I'm guessing I was going to run an experiment, and the only reason I haven't done this is because I don't want to put out hope when we don't have any intention on hiring anybody. But maybe there might be a role that we're hiring pretty soon here, and we can kind of run the test. But basically, I'm curious, like when somebody puts out that comment, hey, I'm hiring for, an AI product engineer. How many DMs is that person getting in the background? My guess is hundreds. And It might, just as a
I'm
guess.
gonna, I'm gonna ask, a buddy of mine who works at automotive, just before we were starting, I saw he was posting saying, I'm looking for a cybersecurity, AI automation engineer. Let me know if you're interested.
Yep.
So I'll call him tomorrow and then find out, how many messages he even got to,
Yep.
to see if it's more curated. Like you said, people are getting overwhelmed with too many. Even the ATS can't handle how many of these requests are coming in because they've been automated, and it seems like now it's an arms race where companies added ATS and now, and, soon to be, people applying have added AI to essentially auto apply. Now they've both negated each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And what it's really creating is just this environment where people are fine tuning to the job description. And at the end of the day, you're losing that personality, and much in the way that social media grabs the wrong signals. The way and things that people are looking for from an ATS perspective, from the way that they're scrubbing, they're looking for the experience that they've put in the job description, but because of the other side is so so creative in, I mean, basically I could have some job that doesn't even qualify for the job I'm looking for, but I can use AI to basically tune those things to make it sound like I know what that job is.
right.
And if I do a really good job, I'm going to show up as a possible candidate. And I think so. I think part of what is going on the job side is that you haven't updated your methodology. You're putting the job description. You're saying, yeah, I want somebody with 25 plus years of experience in this and that, and I've actually also seen that they're putting more and more experience. But these people don't exist, and 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 then when you find somebody that has that perfect set, which is probably a lie, you're rewarding that person with interviews.
Oh
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
getting the interviews. They're not getting hired, but they're getting the interviews, and then that's a waste of everybody's time. And
It's
so it's a bad vicious cycle.
right. The whole process this can be a whole discussion. I mean, I've seen postings, where people that are at my level, very senior postings, and what do they have on there? Must have Microsoft Office experience. Like, who's even filling out a resume that doesn't have Microsoft Office experience?
Right.
Long time ago, when DevOps was coming out, and I was reading books on it, you would see postings on there. Must have 8 years of experience, and I'm like, this whole process is no more than 3 years old. Who are these 8 year professionals that you're referring to? They get, it's a whole interesting item with the hiring methods.
Yeah. It's and if you fine tune to what you're really looking for, and you get to kind of a different way where it's not necessarily based on experience. Yes, experience does matter, but then it's more of that intangible type of stuff that you can't really create in an algorithm. And then you're going to start kind of breaking up what's happening right now. So all that happens right now. And I'll admit, I'm guilty too. If there's like some really amazing opportunity, it's very easy for me to like take that opportunity, put it into my Claude army, and basically
Yeah.
spit out a resume that looks like I should be the perfect fit. It's pretty easy. Um, so I think where the progression is what is it that you really want to hire? Do you really want somebody that has these X, Y, and Z skills? And maybe that is the job. You're an accountant. You need to file the 10K. You need to do this on schedule and close the books. Those require a specific set of skills, as opposed to maybe something that is more general. You want somebody to come into the finance department to figure out, how we can do finance better. And so, in that type of role, you're not necessarily looking for the person that understands every kind of rule set, because you hire that person, they're just going to implement that rule set, which is not working for you right now. So, I don't know what the right solution is, but it's really frustrating on both sides of the aisle right now. And I just see so many people right now that are really smart. And I look at their profiles. A lot of them I know, I've worked with, and these are people that shouldn't be unemployed, and yet they are, and
Right.
they aren't getting an opportunity because they're getting flooded out by 900 people that can just fine tune their their resume, even though they have no business going for the job that they're asking for.
Right.
So it's kind of a how do we, as a job searcher, how do you kind of combat that, and as an employer, how do you combat that? I think some of the responsibility lies in the platforms themselves, the LinkedIn, and some of the other ones. There are ways to basically change that system, but it's going to break the model. And right now, I see a lot of large corporations, whether it's the social media companies, the cable companies, they're very hesitant on breaking models. If the model is working, like the airlines, they like to charge baggage fees, so nobody's going to stop charging baggage fees because it's a revenue line.
Right.
Even though the baggage fees cause lines, they cause everybody to cram in all their stuff and the overhead space. People get hurt. I mean, it's all driven by the $30 fee that they want to charge for the bag. So it'll be interesting to see, can AI solve some of that right now in certain areas. It's definitely caused unique problems.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. I'm trying to search. I think on Reddit, I saw a couple of advertisements even targeting me on automation of basically submitting resumes to different positions and such. I was trying to find it, but yeah, it's pretty much mainstream now. If I'm getting advertisements for it.
Yeah, I saw one. I saw one yesterday. It basically searches LinkedIn and the other job boards and applies to 200 plus jobs a day for you, and basically will customize your resume to every single one of them. Like that's just crazy. I don't know how much it costs, but yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Right. Yeah. At what point do you get on an interview and you're like, what is this role again? Let me go and look. Oh yeah, you're not even sure what it is.
Like, oh yeah, great. What is the job responsibility? What am I doing?
Right. What am I supposed to be doing? Yeah, I do. I've heard of that before.
Yeah, exactly. And it says here on your resume you did this. Yeah, can you read it to me, because I don't remember. Yes.
I don't know which version of the resume you have. Can you share that with me?
Right.
Oh,
So it's interesting. A lot of improvements that AI has helped with everyone, but also a lot of new problems that is causing imbalances. And I'm sure in the next few years we'll see companies that spawn up that fix those imbalances. I hope for the job market, for everybody that's unemployed right now, I hope that is sooner than later, because right now it is absolutely broken.
yeah, definitely is.
And then, so actually, that's a good segment onto kind of helping step up your AI game and look into new possibilities. So one of the great things about right now is there's so much information. It's so easy to get information out there that a lot of good companies, a lot of good institutions are providing this information just free. And
Right.
if you want to step up your knowledge in anything that you want, because that's going to help you land a better job, or maybe shift to a different career, or take advantage of the network that you have in certain skill sets that you don't have. a lot of different institutions and companies offer this free training. Even some of them offer free certifications. So, if you're willing to put in the time and work towards the certifications, then that is actually something that can go on your LinkedIn, and it's a hard asset. It shows that you actually did the work, as opposed to someone that just says, "Oh yeah, I took a bunch of training and I don't have anything." So what I would like to do is share some of those with everybody so that they can take a look at them, and then at least get started into some of the programs that they might be interested in. So let me share my screen here real quick. All right. So the first thing I'll start off with here is on YouTube. So this one is really easy for everyone. I'm sure everyone has heard of Stanford. At least I hope everybody's heard of Stanford. And I'm sure everybody understands and knows how expensive Stanford is, how hard it is to get into that school. Well, one of the nice things that they do is on their YouTube channel, they have a bunch of their courses that they rebroadcast, and they're live straight from the course, and it's free, no cost. So right here, this is it's just Stanford Online, and if you look on here, you can watch some of these lectures from some of the leading professors out there that, the people sitting in these classrooms right here. Well, you know how much they paid. You can watch this video and kind of sit in and understand what they're going through, and get some really good training. So, this is elite level training from some of the world's best professors, and it's all free. So like, you can see on this one, this is Transformers and LLMs. So this is probably a pretty technical course. This is like lecture 3 in a full cycle of a DL project. So, there's a lot of free information. Here's one on agentic AI, GPT-3 and beyond. So, no shortage of training content on here to kind of basically really educate you on the mechanics and the fundamentals of how AI works, how LLMs are built, and a lot of other exciting information. So that is all free, and it's just Stanford AI on YouTube. So what I did to get here is I just searched for Stanford AI, but I'll drop this link at least in the streaming here.
Well, let's. Sometimes the LinkedIn has trouble going from the restream to LinkedIn and on YouTube. So let's do this, Brennan. We'll consolidate all the links, and then we'll make them essentially notes to it, because I've got a bunch of links from that LinkedIn poster, Ruben, who's Ruben Hasid. He's been fantastic on his posts. He's been doing a real good job. But we can do that and then add them to there. The other good thing I love about YouTube, and this goes back to when we were talking and showing off Notebook LM, is any one of these you essentially can plug right into the notebook and get your show, the notes to what's coming up, and it'll give you kind of like the synopsis and infographics to complement, what you're going to be viewing.
Yep.
So that's really good.
Yeah. And actually that was my next step, is to take some of these lectures and do exactly that, put them into Notebook LM and generate podcasts that I could listen to, and then also basically Cliff Notes, and then basically I'll be able to peruse the information, and on the things I know, I'll skip over, and hey, here's a topic I don't know, and I can ask Notebook LM, where does this topic start? And it'll tell me, at minute marker 5.3, and then I go there and watch that topic, or I could have it generate more information. So that's you're exactly right, Robert. There's a lot of ways you could just absorb this information a lot quicker, or in the ways that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to start strategizing on, because my oldest is getting ready to go off to college, etc. And when we were visiting the colleges, I point blank asked them, are these professors allowing you to record the lectures, as notes? And they said, yeah, sure enough, anybody can, blah, blah, blah. And so that's the other thing is you can essentially create workflows to get not only the lecture that you're at, but also finding complementary subjects that are basically on par with that, and then use the AI to basically create you like a real quick course. Maybe that's something you were going to showcase here, but you basically can have the AI create your course for you too.
Yeah, that's terrific. Yeah. Let's see. The next one is Google. We've talked about this one, but it's worth going over again because there's so much free content in here, and there's actually some free certifications that you can get on here, and it's a massive library of training. And if you really want to dive in and get all the certifications, and I'll tell you, if you get the certifications, some of the more advanced ones on here, that is a career helper. If you're certified in certain things in Google, that is highly in demand right now. When you take a look at the enterprise solutions, especially around AI that enterprises are building, it's all going to be built on that GCP foundation, or Azure or AWS. So any skill set that you have in that area is going to be in demand because it's widespread in the industry across a huge amount of companies. So those are super valuable and can really help you land a good paying job. They do take a little bit of time to do, but the first couple set you could probably do in a couple months. If you want the more advanced ones, maybe 6 to 8 months. At a moderate pace. But basically you can pay for, I think if you pay $30 a month, you get access to all the training essentially. So you can take any course you want, as much as you want. They run on credits, but I think $30 is pretty much unlimited for the most part. And then once you fulfill all the prerequisites, you can take the certification courses and the certification test. And those range from $20 to a couple $100 depending on how complex and what you actually get from it. So again, this is a really good, valuable tool for everybody. And this is the website is skills.google, and again, we'll drop that into the spreadsheet. But if you can't remember that and you just want to get started right away, just Google training, and it'll eventually get you to here. The next one is AWS. It's their version of what Google did. Same thing here. They have tons of different topics. So you can look in here, and this is just aws.amazon.com/training. But right here, get trained, and you can filter by topic, by training, digital training, actual training events, all these different things. There's a lot of different formats and a lot of different costs depending on what formats, but there's a lot of free content on here. So I just went in to learn about AI, and you can see right here. So this introduction to generative AI, art of the possible. This is completely free. So if I click on this one, it'll take me to the training platform, and then basically I can initiate this training and take it. And then you can see right here the access is free, so no cost to take this training, and you just sign up and enroll. And I think AWS gets you a little certification of completion. So again, these are things where you have traceable evidence that you took the training. So that is kind of one of them. If you take a look at, like, let's just say you want to know, this is how to become a generative AI practitioner. So this is leading you to a certification. So if I click on this program, it'll pull up the program details. So this is generative AI practitioner, and you can see there's 10 trainings. So you complete the 10 trainings, and then I'm guessing that there's a test at the end, and you'll get a certificate. But you can see what it's covering. It's going to cover Amazon Bedrock, DynamoDB, Lambda, Lex. So basically, these are all the components on how you build within the AWS system. So just like GCP has all theirs, AWS has all their own, and these are basically all of them here, or not all of them, but the primary ones. So you take a look. Let's see. Take a look at the outline, and now you can see each of the courses. So it's 10 trainings. So this is Cloud Computing Essentials, Cloud First Steps, Explore the Amazon Bedrock Playgrounds. So this is really the first step if you want to become kind of that AWS specialist. And again, AWS, no different on AWS than Google. Everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people are building their platforms on AWS. So again, a great in-demand skill. Very low cost. I don't know, I haven't clicked on all of these, but a lot of these ones are free. So like this first one right here, I can go to view details, click it up here, it'll load up the training. And yep, this one's free. So a lot of them are going to be free. So
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, so this one's only 10 classes. Each class, I don't know, let me see, does it say how long this is? I don't see anything offhand, but I don't think, oh yeah, 1 hour, there it is. So they're essentially 1 hour classes. Maybe some of them might be a tad longer. So this is for the Cloud Computing Essentials, which looks really good, and gives you a good fundamental overview on AWS. At least you can speak to it. 10 hours. So
yeah.
You could theoretically do this in 1 day if you wanted to. You might be a little tired afterwards, but you could certainly do it in 1 day. So those are the three primary ones. I believe Azure, I haven't looked it up, but I believe Azure has a similar one because that's another high in-demand platform. So, you can kind of pick the one you're interested in. I tend to favor Google, but a lot of people like AWS, and then there's a lot of people that like Azure. So they all offer free training, and right now is a great time to take advantage of it. And especially if you take them on these platforms like Google or AWS or Azure, you're going to get certificates. And those certificates, they're real tangible things that you can put in your LinkedIn profile to prove that you've taken the education, as opposed to like a bullet in a description. So
Right.
that helps you stand out a little bit more, because a ton of people go, yeah, I know AWS, but how do they really know? If they go down and they see that, oh yeah, you're you've taken Cloud Computing Essentials and you're a first level practitioner, then they know that, yeah, you actually did do some work. So those are just some quick resources for everybody. There's thousands of them out there, but what I would recommend to everybody is try to take them from the reputable sources, where you could have something that's traceable, that you can share with your audience or share on your resume, and that it has some traceability. If you take some kind of random ones or watch random YouTube videos, those are great, and by all means do that. But if you're looking for ones that are going to be impactful on your profile and what people and employers are going to be looking at, then stick to the ones that have some type of tracking mechanism. So any of the big platforms, even the software providers, if you go to like Snowflake, they have tons of training, a lot of it for free. So they're all going to give you certificates and fun things like that. So that's kind of two differences. So impact on your resume, look for the big players. If you just want your general knowledge, become an expert, then you got a million resources out there.
Nice. Yeah. The other thing to look out for, to complement that is, and this goes back to reputable sources, so look at somebody who has a good amount of history posting. But like right here's a good example. Like there's definitely people to follow. We'll do screen one. So like right over here, we've got Mr. Ruben Haisid. And then right here, he does post all the time. If I scroll up over here, this one I think we could use. It's like 37 Claude shortcuts to use with our prompts. So he does, like, he's one of these people that has AI content, and then as a subset, this was like 6 days ago. He has all these courses that are either like you had, from Google, or specialties that he does, like Claude 101. He did this whole write up on Stack or Substack on how to essentially go through the steps of downloading Claude, going through some exercises to teach people how to do it. And you just kind of follow along and stuff like that. So there is a lot of these resources out there, and I'll post these also in the show notes, because there's a lot of hyperlinks here on here. But there's a lot of good tool centric kind of training,
Yeah.
whereas what Brennan you were having is broad topic centric, so take a look at based off what you want to do and how you want to do it. Sometimes you can get somebody with, either on LinkedIn or on YouTube, etc., either universities or specialty folks on there. But be very careful when you do get people that are creating content. There are content creators that are exclusively, they want you to pay to go on their special course on stuff. So you just got to be very mindful that in some cases, some of them are only creating content to try to get you to sign up to some training that you could do for free elsewhere.
Yeah.
Let's stop sharing here. Get you out of the mirror.
The infinite screen.
Mirrorverse.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Tons of great resources out there, and one other thing is to try to be a little bit focused, if you can, on what you want to learn. You start digging into some of these topics, and if you type in Claude in YouTube, you're going to get no less than 10,000 different videos, all saying how you can build a million things, and you can sit there all day and watch a bunch of them, and
Right.
you'll get a good idea. But I've watched a bunch of them, and some of them are just, they leave out critical steps. One of them I was like, wow, that's a really cool system. And when I was kind of learning the fundamentals and I tried it, and I just couldn't get past one step. And then sure enough, there was one thing that I was leaving out when MCP servers came out. And he was basically showing how to build a pseudo MCP server into NotebookLM. And I thought, for us, Robert, that'd be really cool, because if I build a MCP server that can, talk to NotebookLM, we could do research at scale just by feeding a topic and do that and spin it up. And I couldn't get it to work. And after doing some research, he basically left out a certain thing that he was doing and tweaking that is extremely complex. So, you have to watch out for some of those things. You're still going to get some good, valuable information, but the hands-on guys on the YouTube videos, they'll certainly get you up and running, but you also want that fundamental knowledge of what's going on in the background. Just because they say, oh yeah, hook up to an MCP server in your Gmail and you're good to go. And yeah, that takes 2 seconds in Claude to do that. But do you know why? Do you know why you're doing that? Do you know what it's doing? Do you know the risks? Do you know that, okay, once you hook up your MCP server to Gmail, you're essentially giving AI access to all your Gmail, and they can do whatever they want in there. So, that's why you want a little bit deeper knowledge, and not just a lot of the ones that just go, yeah, just follow us, do this really quick. So,
right. Good.
All right.
Very good. So this was good. Brennan, I've got my links. You've got yours. We'll combine those on there. I'll share that Word document that I have. And once we got those consolidated, then we'll put those into the show notes. And we'll do the same thing with the NotebookLM, where we kind of summarize the discussion, et cetera, and complement everything that we covered today. Cool.
Yeah, and perfect. And I think we are working on some guests for the upcoming episodes. Probably not by next week, but stay tuned, because we have a handful of people that are interested in joining us. So when we solidify them and they're ready to go, we will announce that. And we have some exciting people that want to be coming on and and talking with you guys. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, this is good. Very good. Looking
All right.
forward to the guest speakers, and we'll talk again, Brennan.
All right. Thanks, Robert. See ya.
Yep. Take care. Bye.